A year or so later, and he also lost all of his teeth.
My teeth! Oh!
Hello, friends, and welcome back to ReddX, your source for the freshest daily cringe content anywhere on the internet. Promise, swearsies, it's just a fact, and it's totally science. Go ahead and look it up if you want. Today we're diving into r/TalesofNeckbeards. Yes, indeed. Glad to be back at it. It's actually from my personal subreddit r/ReddX reads, as if you didn't know that already. But today we're going to be wrapping up A Tale of Three Beards, which is good because I don't know how much more creative I can get with these thumbnails. But the series has performed rather well. People seem to like it. A rather short saga, all things considered, but there ain't nothing wrong with that, you know. Get it out, get it done, and it doesn't wear out its welcome. Always leave them wanting more. That's the secret. In part 1, we had sort of introduction to these beards. In part number 2, we had a few mini stories. So I'm kind of curious as to what part number 3 will get up to, aside from, you know, wrapping things, I assume, and a little bit of an outro. But there's only really one way to tell. So let's get some plugs and disclaimers out of the way, and then we will dive right into some Tales of Neckbeards cringe. A Tale of Three Beards, Part 3. The Incident and the Collapse of the Alliance. Oh, wouldn't that be so sad if they weren't neckbeards? I wonder what the incident is. What is the catalyst that we can use to pry neckbeards apart? Science ensues. Hello, ReddX. Hi, Roaming Rivers. Glad to provide this Tale of Three Beards for you and for my fellow subscribers to your channel to enjoy. Hell yeah, dude. This channel is such a collaboration of like many people. We've got the writers, we've got my editor, we've got the artists. Like, it is just amazing how things have come together. So thank you all for being a part of it. Today you will witness the collapsing of the Alliance, the ending of friendships, the final battle that marked the end of that nightmare suite, along with two of the beards that dwelled within. Oh, what a tragedy, but not really. This entry is a bit rough, as it only really entails the final days of the beards and also the incident that shattered many lives one fateful night. Oh, Jesus. You're building it up a lot. My mind is racing with what it could be. Finer details are very sparse, as few folks want to talk about those few final days, even nearly a decade later, so I'm doing my best to stick to the facts, not rumors. I'd like to say that we stick to the facts a lot around here, but that's not true at all. But I appreciate your candor, OP, doing your best to provide us with the truest truth. But first, let's get a recap of the cast. Judgy Beard, a scrawny internet sex addict with too many harsh opinions for his own good. Whiskey Beard, a drunken skidhead with a destructive streak to rival a Tasmanian devil. Horse Beard, a bratty man-child who is afraid of soap and criticism. And we are glad to meet them one and all. Well, not glad to meet them, but yeah, welcome back to the fold, guys. The final entry in the Three Beards saga entails the final 2 weeks of those three beards and the ending of their chaotic alliance that wreaked havoc in many people's lives. A few things to get started as to what sets off these end of times for these beards. Judgy Beard. By now, Judgy Beard's patience with both Whiskey Beard and Horse Beard has begun to run insanely thin. Whiskey for not stopping his drinking and still refusing to stop eating meat, while Horsebeard had resumed much of his drama-inducing behavior. He became more aggressive, hateful, and even began dishing out threats of mutilation and death towards the other two beards on a daily basis. Sounds like he belongs over in r/I am very badass. He also began talking behind more people's backs in our friend group, something that would bite him in the ass eventually. Yeah, I don't think Judgy Beard ever had like a huge reserve of patience. He judges people basically instantly upon meeting him. He's like, oh, you eat meat, you're a piece of trash. I'll say it for the third time. I like beef and broccoli, motherfucker. Whiskey Beard. Though he was going out with a local woman who drank just as much as him, things had started to go downhill for Whiskey Beard in the final 3 months of his time with us, being disappointed that his world didn't end in 2012. Yeah, nobody gets off the ride that easy. He drifted away from the skinheads in town, a combination of getting beaten up by the leader of the group to the point that he had to be hospitalized in a fight that he, Whiskey, was apparently too proud to back down from, the older skinhead who had brought him into the fold being kicked out of the skinhead scene for unspecified reasons, as well as spending all his money now solely on liquor to the point that he could no longer afford tickets to shows, let alone food, barely eating at all. Yeah, get all your calories from booze, that's a bad fucking look. Oh boy, his grades had started to go downhill as well, namely due to his drinking, and his overall sanity had just started to decline pretty rapidly. That is, what few sober brain cells he had left. The ones that kept him functioning in day-to-day life were rapidly being overtaken by hordes of liquored-up zombie brain cells. There is a battle going on in all of our heads, but in this guy's head, quite literally. Needless to say, he began to look more and more like a sick animal in skinhead getup than a human being. His Cheshire Cat grin not helping his claims of sanity. As he began to have more frequent and progressively more violent drunken blackouts. When he wasn't hanging out with his girlfriend at the time, he was in his room, drinking while watching YouTube, playing video games, and overall ranting incoherently every waking moment. I mean, I do basically all of those last things except without being drunk, so you don't have to be drunk. But depending on the YouTube video or the video game you're playing, I guess it helps. Especially if you choose ReddX. We get into the cringe, and if you're too drunk to really absorb it, you're just like, alright man, that's cool. Horsebeard, having been kicked out of his friend group for all the drama he was known for starting, Horsebeard was now hanging out solely with Judgy Beard and Whiskey Beard, despite the increasingly worse name-calling, if not outright abuse, at the hands of Whiskey. His room got even filthier, and he began stalking girls online. More on that later. Well, it seems like Judgy Beard and Whiskey Beard are headed towards a physical altercation. I'm not sure about Horsebeard. Maybe he's the one that survives. He throws himself on the sword or something like that. But yeah, bad mental health can not stay bad for too long. It's only going to get worse or it's going to get better. And that decision is basically all up to you. Now, the final battle of these, the three beards. Do the old man voice. These fateful final few days kicked off when Whiskey found out that one of his drinking buddies and the girl that he, Whiskey, was seeing were sexting each other behind his back. Oh no. Needless to say, this betrayal started the countdown of the incident. He cut this friend out of his life, even as this friend tried to say, it wasn't his fault, and he tried to find his way back into Whiskey's life. This in turn only made Whiskey's sanity decline further, much to the frustration as well as budding apathy of Judgy. Wasn't your fault. Go take a fucking flying leap, dude. It takes two to tango. She could have been like, want to see my tits? And you're like, nah, bitch. I'm good. You're my best friend's gal. Get out of here, you strumpet. He broke up with his girlfriend a few days later, and it was on that final day that he bought the bottle of spiced rum that changed everything. Oh, is that good old Captain Mo? I remember drinking a bottle of Captain Mo. It was so delicious, and then I threw up everywhere. Like I said, I'm not a big drinker. It wouldn't even be so bad that I threw up everywhere, except I threw up at my dealer's house. So the dude that was selling me psychedelics had to clean up my puke. I did try to clean it up, but yeah. You can still see the remnants, I'm sure. I think I was on mushrooms at the time. God damn. Wild days, I'll say that. All he had to do was say spiced rum and I go on this tangent. Alright, let's get into the incident. Details are still unclear to this day, as there are too many accounts as well as burned bridges, to paint an accurate picture as to what exactly went down that night. Basically, Whiskey had begun drinking his rum early and had begun his ranting after only 3 drinks. Judgy poured the rum down the sink, which caused something to snap in Whiskey's mind. He began ranting about how he was gonna kill everyone in the entire suite along with the rest of the world, going as far as holding a carving knife to his own throat. Hey, stupid, you're doing it backwards. You gotta kill everybody else first. That's not how a murder-suicide works at all. But yeah, what an asshole Judgy is for pouring a drink down the sink. Whiskey's obviously living very hand-to-mouth, spending all his money on booze, and if he wants that to numb the pain, then just let him have it, goddammit. We've all been at that low point in our lives, have we not? So for some reason, Whiskey Beard chased Horsebeard with the carving knife in hand, intent on killing the now terrified Horsebeard. Yeah, you can't even aim, look at you. You're a mess. Horsebeard ran and hid in his room, as Whiskey tried to hack his way through the door with the carving knife, in a manner not too different from The Shining. Here's Beardy! He then roared at Judgy for a few more minutes before curling up on the floor, sobbing incoherently, and then passing out. Judgy got everyone out of the room before calling the campus safety. Needless to say, Whiskey was suspended from school for a whole year, and there were orders of protection in place to keep him out of the building as well as off campus. Why he wasn't outright expelled? I have no idea. Most likely due to the school not being able to afford expelling students due to their very clear financial issues, coupled with financial mismanagement. I'm not even gonna touch on schooling for profit. But yeah, it's pretty wild that this dude would be allowed back after trying to hack through a door with a carving knife. Yep, he's got off the deep end for sure. He's climbing up in them beard rankings, I do think. The smoke clears on campus. With Whiskey gone, things seem to calm down for a bit. A mere week later, a girl who Horsebeard was badgering online went to get some of her friends for help. These friends paid a visit to Horsebeard and made it clear to leave the girl alone. This did not sit well with Horsebeard. Were they large men friends, perhaps? Because that's how you really get the message across. You gotta get some muscle in there. Judgy tried to console Horsebeard, only for Horsebeard to call campus safety on Judgy. Horsebeard was also kicked out of the suite. Shortly after this, his horse shampoo treated hair fell out practically overnight until he was completely bald. What the fuck? It had nothing to do with the horse shampoo. I'm gonna go ahead and confirm that for you right now. That's just shitty genetics, man. I also don't understand why he called campus safety on someone who was trying to console him. I'm very confused about that part. Judgy also kicked Horsebeard out of the friend group within the suite and made it clear that they were not friends with him anymore. Horsebeard went back to his former friend group, the one that he had started so much drama within, with his tail between his legs. Though he was welcomed back into that group of film critics, he was now on the bottom of the hierarchy, a massive demotion, if you will. A year or so later, and he also lost all of his teeth. Losing all your hair, losing all your teeth, you just can't keep nothing in your head. You better tape your eyeballs in or something. What else could possibly go? Judgy was also gradually ostracized from the friend group that he shared with Whiskey. Apparently, talking behind their backs just caught up with him. He still talked to a few folks, though he had lost much of the influence that he once had within that group. In the end, he was the last beard standing of the 3 on campus. Though, at what cost? What do y'all think? Feel free to comment below. The least deserving of the 3 beards, the one that tops the list, the one that should not be there at all, of course he's the one that remains. Because sometimes that's just how life works. Whiskey goes to hell. Uh-oh. A few hundred miles away, things went further downhill for Whiskey. Bitter and angry at the perceived betrayal by his former friends, he started leaving threatening voicemails and texts to both Judgy and Horsebeard. The former merely laughing them off, with the latter threatening to call the police to make Whiskey leave him alone. He often did this while drunk or high, which was like every waking moment. He blew much of the dwindling checking account on going to heavy metal festivals, where, according to some of the voicemails and texts that he left to other members of our friend group, he began to practically cook his deranged mind with harder and harder drugs. You gotta stay away from that Molly. Feels good, but you know you're gonna pay the price. Whiskeybeard fell in with some really bad crowds, the kind of people that I'm sure most folks would cross the street to avoid, and began to push further and further away from the few actual friends that he had left. Oh man, the decline! Kicked out of college and now you just like go into heavy metal shows. I don't know if they do Molly at heavy metal shows. That seems kind of weird. That's more of like a cranky street myth kind of place, isn't it? It's just kind of what I assume. But yeah, it's sad to watch the decline. Even for a Neckbeard, he wasn't that bad of a guy. He was the least worst of the beards, at least in my opinion. And unless they do something really horrible, like I do hope for redemption for all of these beards, even Judgy Beard. Whiskeybeard also began to engage in destruction of property, vandalism, assault, and even arson. After 6 months of this practically feral beard running loose on the unsuspecting public, he was finally dragged in front of a judge. Not Judgy Beard, an actual law and order judge on several charges in his hometown. He was probably worse than a beard by the time he was arrested. He didn't even look like a skinhead anymore. He was just a feral animal in raggedy clothes and battered Doc Martens, reeking of sweat and vomit and liquor. God damn, dude. The downward spiral is real. Like I said, it doesn't remain bad for very long. It always gets worse or it gets better. For Whiskeybeard, it seems to have gotten a lot worse. But yeah, like I say in the splash screen at the start of every video, everybody deserves a second chance. And that, my friends, was when I knew I had to get my act together. Oh shit! Yes, ReddX. Yes, fellow readers. Whiskeybeard was me! Roaming rivers. God damn, what a plot twist! That is fucking wild, dude. I love it. You veiled it the whole time. I had no idea until the very end and he pulls the mask off fucking Scooby-Doo style. It was me! Holy shit, man. We need more beard stories with a big twist ending like that. Fucking beautiful. I didn't even read the sentence while I was rambling. I was like looking off into space trying to think of what to say next. So that shit slapped me in the face real hard. God damn, dude. I do take that to mean that you have gotten better, as you seemingly have at least internet and probably even a house of your very own. I hope. No more roommates, please. Confession. I have been sober nearly 8 years as of telling you this tale, and I'll be getting my 8-year sobriety chip at the end of this month. Fucking huge congratulations to you, dude. That is so super hard. Much respect for doing what you need to do. Turning it all around, keeping it clean. This is exactly the ending that I wanted for at least one of the beards. I don't know what happened to the other two. I assume you don't either since the fallout. But like I say, you can't save them all. I just have to be happy that you made it out. This is my coming clean of my sins in a way that I can express as an attempt to bring joy to others with that otherwise very dark time in my life, rather than stewing it with regret and therapy. Well, I do know that these videos can be therapeutic for some, so I hope that I helped in some way. My advice is definitely not therapy, but when I look back on Whiskeybeard, it almost feels like a reverse Anakin Skywalker / Darth Vader relationship. He is a part of myself that I still have nightmares about, and even feels like a separate person at times. He and his actions truly disgust me to my core. And if I ran into him as a separate person on the street, I'm sure my first thought would be to cross the street in order to avoid him from an entire block away, and then get on the nearest bus. I mean, he was destructive and dysfunctional and yeah, maybe a little bit scary, but he also seemed like a kind of a cool dude to hang out with, honestly. I deeply regret all of my actions from those days, and I've since rebuilt my life to be a functioning member of society. I've made amends where possible, and I've learned to move on, where trying to make amends will do more harm than good. Before anyone asks in the comments, my hair is now practically a clean mane that goes down to my shoulders. I much prefer wearing hiking boots and can't even look at a pair of Doc Martens without getting queasy to this day. I spend most of my time these days in the middle of an unspecified national park, eating wild berries, fishing, learning how to hunt, reading, and trying to live a peaceful existence in the middle of the woods. Oh, so you got what you wanted after all. Like, instead of being mad at society and wanting to burn it all down, you just kind of disconnect. Like the Unabomber. That's a bad comparison to make. I'm just razzing you. I also came out of the closet as bisexual after much growth as a person, and I've repaired most of my relationships with my family, in addition to having a healthy friend group. Oh, so not completely disconnected from society. This is good. This is all really good stuff. To Judgy Beard and Horsebeard, I truly wish you both the best in life, wherever each of you are. And though we can never go back to the way that things used to be, I am deeply sorry for all my trespasses against you. For everyone else involved in that chapter of my life, I also apologize for the destruction that I caused, and I also wish you the best in life. With that, I hope that I've given you, ReddX, and dear readers, much joy from this saga of cringe, from those dark days of A Tale of Three Beards. Advertisement. Hey, gotta get that in. Buy Raycon. No, just kidding. Though this is not the end of the tale of Roaming Rivers, and it's only one of the various chapters of his life. If you'd like to hear more stories from Roaming Rivers, his path to redemption, his lowest points, his greatest victories, his various revelations, and the various other characters that he's met on his travels, various beards included, feel free to vote in the comments below. Hey, shit, yeah, this is kind of like a secondary Ramtide. This is my backup Ramtide while Ramtide's on the road. You seem like a really cool dude, and I am so glad that you got everything turned around. I would definitely be happy to share more of your story if you're willing to share your story with us. So yeah, OP, I know most of us do carry regret about things that we did when we were younger, but honestly, Whiskey Beard doesn't seem like that terrible of a person. He was lashing out in the only way that he knew how, and I definitely do get that. I think a lot of us went through that in the late teens and early 20s, you know, before you get it all figured out. But I'm definitely glad that you did get it figured out in the end. Honestly, I hope the same for Judgy and Horsebeard, because it's not fair to just cast them aside and be like, well, they made mistakes in their past. They can't be better people now, you know? So I do hope that you'll continue to live your life to the fullest, and also share some stories with us about your travels and your adventures when you're ready to do so. I hope that you guys enjoyed this series. I do hope that you'll like, comment, and or subscribe as well. If you did, super important to share the video around. I really do appreciate that. We also got a bunch of plugs and playlists and social medias in the descriptions. Social medias are Twitter and Discord and Facebook, and the plugs include my Teespring, where you can rock that ReddX merch, Mr. and Mrs. ReddX, mine and my wife's vlog channel, my personal subreddit r/ReddXReads, and my Amazon affiliate link, which currently goes to my microphone, but if you click on through buy anything else on Amazon, I get kicked back a little bit of cash, which is pretty cool. Also included in them links is my Patreon, and oh yes, I gotta thank my gorgeous, wonderful, beautiful, generous patrons, as I do every video, so thank you very much, Robert Waits, Baron Von Waggy Pants. Yeah, that's a new name he signed up today. Welcome, Baron Von Waggy Pants. I might just call you the Baron. TSM Kirby, Twisted Child, Delicious Jelly Donut, Candy Sora, Cinnamon Susie, Fatboy Shrimp, Fire Drake, Livison, Mr. Anime Manga Fan, Silent Revolver, Zero MMX, Aaron W, Anaki, Babsy-kun, Caustic Fox, Cherish Kitsune, Dinosaur Nightlight, Disposable Waifu, Aaron Lennox, Fisher Diggy, Gypsy, Hadrian BR, Heathcliff, A Pimp Named J. Crisp, JM Kun, Jerry, John Hero, Kira M, Miss Monday, Lexi Loves JoJo, Little Lone Wolf, Lord Liono, Jackus Rule, Vanilla Mel, Melgar the Destroyer, Mirthful Baker, Mr. J, my boy Nat One Nick, Lady Nix, Origami Steve, Katykins Elizabeth, Sidestep, Redwin, Rouse Tower, Cider Drinker, Serrated Ass Siegfried, Satori, Staples Yeet, Synaptic Boomstick, Brilliant Tamago, Tapioca Boogaloo, Tato Ferret, Teddy the Police, That Duck and Bug, The One True Fusky, Treeberg, Wilmax, Zero Blacktail, A Normal Joe, Amara, A-Roxers, Cake Jerry! That's a different Jerry! California Keto Girl, Chris Meska, Cinnamon Bunny Dog, Goose Says Honk, John Indoors, KJW, Kajow, Crafty Kitty Cat, Leon Embers, Life of a Guardian, Little Ann Woods, Mark 211, Maybe Next Time, Milk Fed Gimp, Miss Duchess, Naga Viper, Origami Cam, Princess Rosalie, Raptor Art, Saints Blessing, Spoonie the Rogue, Steampunk Ellie, The Last Shinobi, and the Necrobomicon. Thank you guys so much for supporting the channel in the way that you do. It does mean the world to me. I do hope some other people will consider supporting on the Patreon. I know the holidays are coming up. It'll probably be a little bit slower on that Patreon, but I definitely do appreciate the people that are sticking with me. But I do hope some other people will consider supporting on that Patreon. However, if you can't do it right now, don't sweat it too hard, friends. I just appreciate you coming on through, hanging out with me, and I hope you'll come on back and hang out with me again tomorrow. In order to do so, you need to keep yourself safe out there. Wash your hands, but also take some time out and do something that you personally enjoy today. Maybe like, watching some more ReddX videos? Maybe, I hope. Always remember, friends, that you are loved, you are worthy, and you definitely deserve it. I shall see you in the next one, and until then, friends, bye.